You are listening to Unified Through Chronic and Mental Illness with your hosts, Angie Roberts and Kimberly Murphy. Please be advised that some of the topics of this podcast can be triggering and sensitive in nature.
According to mentalhealth.org, approximately 68% of women and 57% of men with mental illness are parents.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unified. Today's topic is motherhood and mental illness.
When I got pregnant, I had to go off all of my medicines, and my psychiatrist took me off all of them in about 2.5 weeks. It was really hard.
I bet.
Right. And I was also smoking, so I had to go off nicotine too. It was the worst withdrawals ever.
I bet. Oh my gosh. They weren't worried about you being pregnant and having all those withdrawals at the same time. They really thought that that would be okay.
I mean, yeah, he did. I don't know that it was okay, but I mean, I guess he was. Everything he turned out just fine, so that's good. So finally I decided that I would go on an antidepressant after my gynecologist talked to me several times about it. She was very worried about me. I was suicidal, but I was scared at the same time that something was going to hurt the baby, and like I said, she was really worried about it. So she finally talked me in to go. It was like my third trimester. I finally decided to start on something. So I started on an antidepressant. Then when I started breastfeeding, I could take some things but other things I couldn't take. But I could take more medicines and I felt okay, but I couldn't take my mood stabilizer, so I was really up and down a lot. And with a toddler, it's so hard because I was getting mood swings really bad. I was getting agitated really bad. At that time, I had never had a break from him. So it was just really, really hard. I ended up admitting myself to the hospital because it got so bad that I wanted to harm myself. I had never left my baby before, really. So my baby had to go spend 5 days somewhere. So he ended up weaned. I was in the hospital for 5 days. So he was at my friend's, who's a wonderful person. I'm so glad her and her family. If I hadn't, I don't know if I would be here. It was just getting really bad. So I'm so glad that I did it too. And so now I'm on all the right medications and I'm feeling a lot better. So, I still get agitated and it still can be hard being a single mom with a mental illness and parenting a child like on your days where you don't feel good. They don't really understand that. They don't understand why isn't mommy happy all the time. And, but I try to tell him that it's okay. Some days, or people just aren't happy some days. And we try to just take it as a day to day thing. And usually, you have a bad day and then the next day is a little better. So we just try to make it through one day at a time.
Right. And do you talk to Jacob at all about, I mean, I know that he's really little, so age appropriate understanding, but do you talk to him about the fact that, you do have an illness, that part of that illness is that you're sick, or have you not gone there with him yet?
Well, when I had to go to the hospital, I told him that mommy's brain was sick. I didn't tell him that I was, physically sick. I let him know that I was mentally sick, and because I want him to grow up thinking that that is it can be, I mean, not a normal thing, but it's a normal thing to have to go. If you have to go, you have to go. Yeah, I want him to, and I try to teach him some breathing. Like when he's mad, I try to teach him breathing techniques, and I'm really working with him on things like that.
I think that's awesome. So, what is it like for you? I know that, like you just said, that sometimes you have emotional, I want to call them emotional flare ups. I don't know if that's a good way to put it, and you are a single mom, and everybody knows how hard it is to raise a toddler because they can get the best out of the most patient person.
Right, push every button.
What do you do when you have those moments when it's just too overwhelming? I mean, and at that time, what do you normally tend to do?
I guess for that, luckily, I live in a studio apartment and I will walk outside and just, try to put a door between him and myself just so that I can breathe for a few minutes. Or I'll put my headphones on and blast some music for, 10 minutes, but I'm right here in the room with him so I can see him. I know that he's fine. He might be having a tantrum, but if I can't handle it at the moment, sometimes I feel like I get overwhelmed, um, you know, just with all the noise. So um, it can be really hard sometimes.
Noise is like really triggering for me too. So I could imagine in that situation it would be difficult for me as well. And I think the music is a great tip for people.
You don't listen to it all day, though. Don't get in the habit of listening to it all day and ignoring the kid all day. I've I, you laugh, but I've had to distract myself like that before for quite a while. I would find myself like before I got on all my medicines when I was breastfeeding, I did listen to my music all the whole lot, like just to get through the days. But I'm glad now that I'm on the medicines I'm supposed to be on. So
It does make a huge difference.
huge difference, yes. So to any of the toddler moms out there, if you need to get on medicine, go ahead and do it. You're not alone. It's hard. It's hard being a mom to a toddler as it is. And if you're a single mom, it's a super duper hard.
And then also, I just want to point out too that like having to make the decision between meds and breastfeeding, because as a mother, you want to give your child every advantage. So, I mean, I to have to choose between the medications and breastfeeding, a situation like that.
I did breastfeed for 2.5 years, so I felt like I had put my time in at that point.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
so I felt like I had put my time in, so we just kind of I just had to figure out how to wean him, and just so happened that I ended up going to the hospital, and then when after I come from the hospital, I was on medicines that he couldn't have.
Hmm.
He couldn't have his num-nums, so
Aw,
yeah. He still
aw.
tries to get some though sometimes. I don't know.
Well, that's absolutely amazing. Was there ever a time though in that 2.5 years where you ever felt like I just can't like do this. Like I need to get on the meds, or did you always kind of feel like with supervision with your psychiatrist or whatever that you were going to be okay?
No, there were when I went to the hospital, I knew that I needed to be on the medicine for a while. I just was being stubborn about it. When I started having suicidal thoughts, then I knew that it didn't matter about the breastfeeding anymore. It didn't matter about not being with my son for 5 days anymore. It didn't matter about anything because if I didn't go to the hospital, I was highly likely not going to be around anymore, and that would have been far worse than
Yeah, Jacob would have been without his
yeah,
mother.
right. But I'm here, so still kicking.
So, when I first became a mom, I was actually diagnosed with bipolar 2. I was feeling really depressed and decided to go in and see somebody, and also decided to completely ignore the diagnosis. So, I really don't know why I bothered, but there it is. It's funny because I look back on it, I was doing everything that somebody who has bipolar 2 disorder and is not treated would be doing. I was racking up bills, and luckily for me, I was surrounded by a team of people who just really supported me and helped me out through this stuff because I honestly didn't have a lot of family at the time supporting me, but
Right.
there were friends that I had that were helping me out, and I had every single symptom. So, but being young and just not wanting to accept that diagnosis, I guess, is what it was, and not wanting to go on the medications, I just kind of blew it off. And so I went through a period where I did do a lot of self medicating. It was really hard for me to do the daily things that moms do. Just, I mean, dropping them off at school or going to events or chaperoning. Like I was always asked to chaperone and never did it because I just
Aw.
felt so much anxiety. I know, because it would have been super fun, but
Yeah.
I didn't do it. Those are memories that obviously would have been wonderful to have. But when I was hypomanic, I would be super avoidant. So, not only did I not do those things, I didn't even want to take, well, for both my children, I had another child later, and had still suffered with the same issues. And like, I didn't want to go to the doctor's appointments. I would constantly reschedule things. I would have panic attacks all the time. So there was a time period where me and my husband had one car. So I would have to drop him off at work and then take the kids to school and all this other stuff. And I remember dropping him off and literally just crying my eyes out because I didn't think I was going to be able to make it home. And yeah, he would just be like, "You can do this. You can do that. You can do this." I think the hardest part for me is not having the memories, even the ones that we do have, because I would always be like, "I'm a bad mother." And my husband would be like, "You're a wonderful mother. What are you talking about?" And I'd be like, "I don't have all these great memories." But the fact of the matter is I don't have many memories at all. And when I started talking to my psychiatrist, he said, "That's classic CPTSD. Like, you are literally missing chunks of time because for whatever reason you were struggling with something at the time. So it probably has nothing to do with your children, but because it was that time period and it was hard for you, um, you're just having, suffering with memory issues." So, I mean, I would just say to anybody who is a parent and doesn't know whether or not they should go on medication or whatever, I really wish I had done it so much sooner. I really wish I did, because especially like the mood stabilizer, it has made my life so much better. Like I never thought that medication would matter. I really didn't.
Right. I can understand that. I can relate to that.
Yeah, and it really has made all the difference.
All the difference in the world. That mood stabilizer got me where I can it has me where I can function now. So,
Right, and, like, for me, with both the kids, like, especially if there's, like, kids, get in trouble at school or whatever, something like that might happen, and I would just have a really hard time dealing with that kind of stress in my life. So,
mhm.
it was hard for me to be the supportive parent, because I would just completely, like, it took everything for me not to have a meltdown. So,
Right.
like situations like that where you want to be a strong parent. And fortunately, my kids don't have the same memories that I do because I'm super hard on myself.
I think we all are.
Yeah. There's so
Mm.
much I wish I could have done better. And we all have that kind of hindsight is 2020 kind of thing. Um,
Right.
but it does go by really fast. So the sooner you can get treated, the better, especially if you have children.
This episode we have special guest with us, Julie Shimkus from Arkansas. So, Julie, tell me a little bit about you and your family.
So I am married to Aaron, and we have been married for 8 years now. And we have a son named Alan. He is 7 years old, and he has a genus of the corpus callosum. So pretty much that means that he is missing a part of his brain, and it's the part that holds the two hemispheres together of the brain. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's a trip. So pretty
Yeah.
much he can do certain things, but he needs a lot of assistance with like walking, eating, that kind of stuff. And so he has seizures and he's legally blind, but he is the kid that lights the room up with his smile. And then we have a daughter, Avi, who is 4, and we have had the blessing of having her. We adopted her, and she is the beautiful daughter that anyone could ever ask for, and she helps us with our son, and she's smart and she's
Aw.
sassy, and
Aw.
oh, we love her too.
She's just everything, it sounds like. She's just everything rolled into one.
Yeah, and Alan, he makes me realize how wonderful life is in his way.
It sounds like you have a great family.
It does.
I do.
You're
So,
welcome.
because we're talking about motherhood and mental illness, what types of mental illness do you struggle with?
So as of today, no. So PTSD, the bipolar, and really high anxiety.
Okay, and what challenges do you face as a mom with mental illness?
Well, I mean, I'll give you the example of COVID. Right now, one of the biggest challenges was, do my children need to stay home or do they need to go to school? And with Avi being so spirited, I felt like she needed to go to school, but there was this high anxiety of she gets COVID, or really, I mean, to the extreme way of maybe I won't be able to get her out of school because what if there's this huge breakout? How you think that craziness of the anxiety and all of that, the PTSD and all this other craziness that, oh my gosh, what if there's this huge breakout? Well, I can't go get her because they're going to keep her. That's that PTSD right there, and anxiety.
Because your mind, when you have anxiety, it always goes to the worst case scenario.
Oh God, every single
Yeah,
time. And
Right.
the
sometimes,
catastrophic thinking is
and you're like, why does my brain go there? Why? It shouldn't be.
anxiety is a liar too. So it sneaks in and starts lying to you.
Although I got to say, when it comes to COVID, I think we all agree that it's probably best to keep our kids home. But I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to put that out there.
Well, I don't think we want to discuss about COVID like really, really deep, but I mean, I was just like, that's like a big, huge PTSD anxiety moment right here. But then I think of my son. He's, with these huge special needs, but he has this low immunity thing. Holy cow,
Right.
Right.
what do I do? Then that huge anxiety is even more. Oh my God! But he needs all this hand-on-hand learning. Oh, but you have to stay 6 feet apart. That isn't going to happen with him.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he's
Yeah, I don't
blind.
see.
Yeah, and he's blind, so he really needs to hear pitch and tone because that's a huge thing with him. And then these teachers have these masks on him, and that isn't going to work either. So then I have all these
Right.
huge overcoming things. It's just
Is he having a hard time at school right now?
no. Oh gosh, no. They both love
No.
school.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, that's wonderful.
No, I'm lucky like that.
Yeah.
So it's your struggle.
In your disorders, do they affect your ability to parent at all?
I think with certain situations, absolutely. I'll give you the perfect example. How far my children can stay out of reach from me. I don't know how far we want to go. I lost my oldest, and he would be 21. Long story, kind of short. Gave him up for adoption when I was 15. He was 17 when he passed away this year. He would be 21. Died from a motorcycle accident. Okay. So you have this fear, oh my God, I've lost one child. I don't want to make that mistake again of losing another child. So yes, I want them to grow and be independent, but at the same time, I don't want them to get too far out of my reach. So when they're at the park, do I let them go further than what I can hold, what I can see, what I can run to? So it's been very difficult for me to let them go. When I know that they are more than capable of going further than what I can see. I know that, but I don't want them to go that way. So there's that anxiety and that huge anxiety of letting them go that. But I know they're both more than capable of going that way. Yes. And that's a huge impact on my children. So small, and it's a huge impact.
Right.
Right.
Right. Well, do you have anything that helps you to stay focused as a mom, like in self-care or anything? What kind of things do you do to help you to try to stay focused and try to stay away from those big anxiety moments?
As funny as it sounds, I actually started off walking and have gradually gone to more and more. So now I'm actually jogging / running, and being a much curvier woman, it seemed like it would never be something that I would have done if you would ask me when I was 20 and 21, when I was actually in my prime. Running, actually.
That's wonderful.
That's amazing. That's great.
And, with having other issues with my body, you would never think in a million years, oh, at almost 40, you're running,
Right.
Yeah, I'm running. Maybe not, a triathlon doing that, but yeah, I'm kind of running.
Yeah, I heard this lady say that she doesn't get up past a mile jog, but you know what? She runs that 2 miles a day.
Hmm.
You know what? And it's just whatever works.
Yeah, I think exercise is underrated and undervalued.
It really is. It really releases those endorphins
It does.
that you
Yeah.
need, and it helps to overcome depression.
And it's great to burn off that extra energy when you're feeling that anxiety, that fight or flight. You know what I mean? So
Definitely.
if you're trapped in that loop, especially with PTSD, with that fight or flight, going for a jog is an amazing way to burn off that energy that you're feeling.
I can remember certain things, but you're just so preoccupied with everything else that's going on in the world. And what Tommy with me was that Avi picked up a worm for the first time, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, that's great." And stupid me, not even a few days ago, it was my first time picking up a worm ever. And she was there, and she watched. Sorry. And she watched me do it, and I was just like, "I will give you a piece of candy if you pick up this worm." And she still wouldn't pick it up because she's so stubborn. And she wouldn't do it, and she wouldn't do it. And I don't allow this girl to have any candy, but being moms, we stash our candy. I was like, "I will give you a piece of my secret candy if you pick up this worm." And she was like, "No." And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, "God, you're so stubborn." And then I kid you, not even 3 days later, she comes up to me and she goes, "Look, Mom, I picked up a worm." And I was like, "Great," you know, and it's because we were late for this or we were supposed to do this. And then she was just so heartbroken. And I was like, "She picked up a worm." Like later, late. I mean, and it was like later on during the day, and she didn't cry about it. She didn't, I mean, she gave me this look of like, "But I picked up a worm." And I was just, and in my mind, I'm like, "Why is she paying? I don't want that in my car, you know?" And I, and I felt so bad later on. And I just like, and let me tell you, she's so smart. She still tells me to this day. She's like, "Mom, remember when I picked up that worm and you didn't give me a piece of candy?" It's just like, you are 4 years old. How do you? This is like when she was 2, and I was just like, "How do
You're
you
gonna be hearing about
remember?"
that. She's gonna be 16 and she's gonna be saying, "Mom, do you remember that one time?"
Did you have postpartum at that time too?
I had it, but it wasn't diagnosed. And so then they just put it because I had it for so long, even before I had Alan, and then it was there when I had him, obviously, because he was special needs and I was on bed rest. I have a tribe. I have a huge tribe. It consists of my husband, my parents, other family members, Alan's teachers and doctors. I mean, I have a huge tribe. It's not just me, which unfortunately with a lot of special needs families, it's just the parent. It's difficult. It's very difficult. I'm very lucky, very fortunate, very #blessed, whatever you want to say. And it's very unfortunate that a lot of people don't understand.
It sounds like you have a good handle on your self-care and on your focus,
Oh, I
on
have
your
to.
family.
I have to. I have to be selfish because nobody else is going to keep track of me and how I feel
Hmm.
and about me.
Yeah.
I have to be selfish. We all have to.
I need to learn that from you. Maybe I need to
It's
learn that
it,
from
it,
you.
it
I really do. I'm a very selfless person, and
Oh, I'm sorry.
it's it's hard.
But no, it's true because if you
She
don't
said I'm sorry.
but if you don't give yourself what you need, you have nothing to give other people. So, as a
You're
mom,
right.
it makes perfect sense. It does.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
really, really does.
Somebody kept telling me over and over again, "Who's going to take care of your kid when you can't take care of yourself anymore?"
What is it like dealing with PTSD and bipolar disorder, plus raising your son with a rare genetic disorder?
Well, I can tell you I can get into like mama bear mode pretty quick, pretty fast. And I know a lot of times in situations it doesn't need to be like that. And you
Right,
get
right.
your mom intuition and your mom gut when you have those personality traits, those wonderful traits. It a lot of times doesn't go good with what needs to be done at the hospital or sometimes at the schools or being out in public at Walmart or when people are looking at you and looking at you like you're a disease or something, because your kid's not looking
Right.
right or sounding right, then you just
I don't even know how you deal with that because that would be crazy. I would be upset all the time.
you just know that people are ignorant is usually 90% of the time. And I wanted to share not too long ago, my son has been able to start what you would call talking for him. He doesn't talk very much, but when we have just me and him time, it's at night, usually after his home health aide leaves. I go in there and snuggle with him on the bed and we talk and he plays these thing with Allen games where he kind of does like sign language, but it's his own little thing and it's like cute stuff. Anyway, about a year ago, he started saying, blah, blah, and it was kind of clear, but it was unclear. And then he kept doing it good. It's, I love you. Blah,
Aw.
blah. And with speech, it's getting more and more clear now. So it's like, I love you.
Aw.
So then the other day, he was saying, blah, blah. Oh, obviously,
Mhm.
that's dada. Okay.
Mhm. Right.
So now he's been saying, la, la. And he kept, la, 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 and looking at me. And I'm just like, oh, it's mama.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh.
There was one of my favorite stories I was going to read to you. So this was a really old article, so I just wanted to say that there's going to be some slang terms in here. So the article is called Some Moms Are More Special, and it's by Irma Bombrick. Most women become mothers by accident, some by choice, and a few by social pressures, and a couple by habit. This year, nearly 100,000 women will become mothers of handicapped children. Did you ever wonder how mothers of handicapped children are chosen? Somehow, I visualize God hovering over earth, selecting his instruments for propagating with great care and deliberating as he instructs his angels to take notes in a giant ledger. Armstrong, Beth, son, patron saint Matthew Forrest; Marjorie, daughter, patron saint Cecilia; Rutledge, Carrie, twins, patron saint. Give her Gerard. He's used to profanity. Finally, he passes the name to an angel and smiles. Give her a handicapped child. The angel is curious. Why this one, God? She's so happy. Exactly, says God. Could I give her a handicapped child to this mother who doesn't know laughter? That would be cruel. But has she patience? Asked the angel. I don't want her to have too much patience, or she will drown in a sea of self pity and despair. Once the shock and resentment wears off, she'll handle it. I watched her today. She has that feeling of self and independence that is so rare and necessary in a mother, you see. The child I'm going to give her has his own world, and she has to make it live in her world, and that's not going to be easy. But, Lord, I don't think she even believes in you. God smiles. No matter. I can fix that. This one is perfect. She has just enough selfishness. The angel gasps. Oh, selfishness! That's a virtue? God nods. If she can't separate herself from that child occasionally, she'll never survive. Yes, here is a woman whom I will bless with a child less than perfect. She doesn't realize it yet, but she will be envied. She will never take for granted a spoken word. She will never consider a step ordinary. And when her child says mama for the first time, She will be present at a miracle and know it. And when she describes a tree or a sunset to her blind child, she will never see it as a few people ever see my creations, and I will permit her to see clearly ignorance, cruelty, prejudice, and allow her to rise above them. She will never be alone. I will be at her side every minute of every day of her life because she is doing my work as surely as she is here by my side. And what about her patron saint? Asked the angel. His pen poised in midair, God smiles. The mirror will suffice.
This episode's mantra is, you can be a mess and still be a good mom. We're allowed to be both. Thank you guys for listening, and don't forget we are stronger together.
Be blessed. See you next time.
Unified Through Chronic and Mental Illness can be found at anchor.fm/unified. There you can find all social media links as well as other ways to listen.